California has some of the strictest gun laws in the US, and since GTA 5 takes place in California, I wanted to see if you could beat it while following those laws. Before we get into anything, I want to shout out Charlatan Wonder. He did this in Fallout 4, and I was so inspired by him that I completely ripped off his idea and did it in GTA 5. Go check him out. Obviously, there were a lot of laws I had to follow, so I'm going to briefly explain how I figured out which guns I could and couldn't use. First off, 2 laws wiped out the majority of guns in game. They are no fully automatic weapons and a 10-round limit on magazines. Then even more were obliterated by not being on the approved handgun list, being too large of a caliber, or being an explosive. After going over all the laws, I was left with a grand total of 8 legal guns. Sort of. I might be bending some rules. For example, the 50 caliber pistol is based on the Desert Eagle, which is on the allowed handgun list, but only the 44 Magnum version. However, there is a conversion kit you can legally buy in California and convert it to 50 AE, so I'm gonna say our character gets a conversion kit. Then there's the vintage pistol. It's not on the handgun list, but since it's over 50 years old, it qualifies as a curio and relic firearm, which makes it exempt. I think. I'm gonna be honest, I used way too much Reddit and random people on YouTube for my research. There were a few others I was a little hesitant about allowing myself to use, but we'll go over those when I get to them in game. Here's the list of rules I'm gonna be following during this run, as well as a couple other things. Anyway, after spending hours researching the hellhole that is California gun laws, it was finally time to start the challenge. Less than 2 minutes into the game, I broke the law. I had to use my phone to detonate an explosive device. I was disappointed in myself for already failing the challenge, but it doesn't come close to how disappointed your parents are in you for watching my videos. Then Michael got taken hostage. I had to shoot my boy Jasper with the fully automatic rifle to save Michael, already bringing our laws broken to 2. The crew made their way out of the building and were met with some cops. I was able to sneak around and melee them while they were distracted by Michael and Brad. Just kidding, it was really hard trying to punch them without dying. So I did what I do best, sat on my ass doing nothing while other people did the work for me. There was this one guy they couldn't kill, so I took him out. I know Dark Viper AU showed a way to get Michael or Brad to kill him, but I'm gonna be honest, my brain is way too tiny to comprehend that strategy. Plus, you guys don't come here for skilled gameplay. You come here for my awful attempts at making jokes, and for my dashing looks. Once that guy was dead, we easily made our way through the rest of the mission. Then I arrived in Los Santos, where I was immediately called out by Michael.
He sits on his ass all day, smoking dope and jerking off while he plays that fucking game.
Franklin and Lamar have to repo a bike for Simeon. Before heading there, I picked up my first legal weapon, the knife. When we arrived, Lamar blasted a guy and we had to fight our way out. He told me to pick up a pistol, but I avoided it harder than women avoid talking to me. I equipped my knife and started trying to stab the guys with guns. It went about as good as you'd expect. It also didn't help that the lock-on for melee is absolute dog shit. Yeah, stab Lamar, you stupid piece of shit. I can only assume whoever programmed it was dropped multiple times as a baby, just like I was. If it wasn't obvious during these clips, my main strategy was to run up and stab the guy who spawns by the tanker, since Lamar didn't seem to be interested in shooting him, but Lamar or myself would always die shortly after I got up there. Having constantly failed for 2 hours straight, I was getting extremely fed up, and this happened. How about you stab him? After sending my controller to the Shadow Realm, I realized I needed a new plan. I implemented my strategy from Prologue, where I sat on my ass, and it worked, at least for the first part of this mission. Lamar would take out everyone on the ground with relative ease. When he took cover on the porta potty, he wouldn't shoot the guy by the tanker, which would lead to him getting killed. On one attempt, Lamar ran to the porta potty sooner than usual and didn't take out all the ground guys, so I ran up, shanked a couple people, and realized I never tried taking cover on the porta potty. When I did, Lamar got pushed off and shot the tanker guy. From there, he killed everyone else except one guy who spawns on the balcony. I climbed up there, gutted him, hopped down, and helped Lamar take out the last guy. All that was left to do was get the motorcycle, which I did by channeling my inner Caitlyn Jenner. After that, I brutally murdered Michael's gardener and attempted to get Jimmy's car back in one piece. Unfortunately, Michael was hiding in the back and made me drive through the window. Once Michael beat up Simeon, it was time to purchase our first gun, the pump shotgun. I was a little concerned since it had both a pistol grip grip, and an adjustable stock. California really doesn't like either of those, but since it was on a pump and not a semi-automatic shotgun, it was good to go. I still couldn't use it quite yet though. There's a 10-day waiting period for firearm purchases. To make the 10 days go by faster, I slept a total of 30 times, since each time you sleep 8 hours. I promise I did this whenever I bought a new gun during this run, but it would get extremely repetitive if I showed it every time, so this will probably be the only time I show the full thing. Once I was done wasting 10 minutes of my life sleeping in a video game, I had to rescue Jimmy. You are prompted to shoot a guy on the boat, and I knew from a previous video it's impossible to kill him with the shotgun, so I was forced to shoot him with my pistol. After that mission was over, I switched to Franklin to buy him a pump shotgun. He had already picked it up somewhere illegally, so I got arrested while holding the shotgun, which removed it. Then I was able to buy it legally and started the next mission. Amanda banged the tennis coach, which, I mean, how can you not with underwear like that? Michael wasn't too happy about it though, so we pulled the coach's house down. A few dudes tried to kill us after. Thankfully, I now had a real weapon to defend myself. Madrazo stopped by, showed Michael his amazing baseball swing, and demanded a few million from us. Despite just being threatened by a crime boss, Michael decided now was the perfect time to take his son on a bike ride. When we were done with our ride, Michael swam to a boat to cockblock some guys trying to smash Tracy. I blew the guys away with my shotgun. At least they still got blown. I'm so funny. After ruining Tracy's social life, Michael started working on getting Madrazo his money. Lester said he'd help, but needed Michael to kill Jay Norris for him first, for some reason. I went to the Life Invader office and got a little distracted helping Ricky with his computer. Oh no. Eventually, I planted the explosive in the phone, which blew Jay's mind. Once I was done with that, I scouted the jewel store, then chose my approach and crew members. When the heist began, I showed my gratitude to the crew by nearly killing one of them. Franklin climbed on the roof and threw knockout gas in the vents. Once inside the store, the game forces you to use an AK to break the jewel cases. I decided to let my partner do the work, but since I cheaped out on the crew, he didn't grab enough in time and was dropping a lot on the ground. It also probably didn't help that I nearly broke his spine at the start. In my attempts, I noticed some cases gave more than others. The ones that seemed to give the least were these ones to the right, so I decided to block those in hopes it would force my partner to get the cases worth more. Thankfully, it worked. Then I gracefully made my way to the LS River, rammed the cop cars out of the way, and completed the heist. After the heist, Franklin met up with Lamar and Stretch to go to a drug deal. Before they went, Franklin had to get a flashlight attachment for his shotgun. Thankfully, adding a flashlight to a gun doesn't make it an assault weapon in California, at least not yet. The deal goes horribly wrong, and we have to fight our way through ballas and the police. I shot an innocent man for his car, and we used it to lose the cops. Franklin heads over to Michael's place, and mid-cutscene we are switched to Trevor. He wanted to take out the majority of the Lost, which was perfect when I had absolutely no California-compliant weapons for him. I know some of you are probably thinking I could have used the pump shotgun he starts with, but Trevor really doesn't seem like a guy who follows gun laws, so I assumed he got it illegally. To take out the bikers, I relied on melee attacks and flattening them with 2 tons of American steel. Once I was done with the bikers, I got arrested so my pump shotgun would be removed. When I went to buy it legally, I noticed the vintage pistol was also available. I wanted to buy them both, but I was a little worried about this California rule that states you can't make more than 1 firearm purchase in 30 days. However, it's currently not being enforced due to an injunction, so luckily I was able to purchase both and waited 10 days to get them. After that, I was gonna show some potential business partners my meth lab. When we arrived, a rival gang came and attacked. I easily took them all out with my newly acquired pistol. It was easier than trying not to listen to the hundreds of screaming voices in my head. When I was done with that, I met up with Ron to take out more bikers. At the start of the mission, I had to buy a sniper, which itself is legal in California, but the suppressor I also had to buy for it isn't. When I got to the water tower, I tried getting arrested to remove it, but I couldn't get a wanted level. Then I tried shooting the first biker with my pistol and shotgun. Both didn't reach, so I unfortunately had to use my suppressed sniper 11 times, 9 on bikers and twice on lights. In case you're wondering, I tried using my pistol on every biker. It didn't reach any. I took out the rest of the bikers with a combination of my pistol and shotgun, then hopped on Ron's wing. I used Trevor's special ability to not shoot anyone while we were making our way down the runway. When the biker jumped on my wing, I smashed into a cactus to avoid killing him, which I guess I didn't need to, but I'm so used to doing it in my other runs. After dropping the Amazon packages in in the ocean. I removed my sniper and bought it legally. Once I was done with that, I went to the O'Neill farm. They ended up getting very angry at me because I was better at shooting cans than them, so I was forced to kill Ernie, Earl, Walton, Wynn, Dale, Doyle, Daryl, and Dan. I also destroyed their family meth business by blowing up their house. Trevor wanted to finish off the remaining bikers, so I gave his truck a new paint job to make it more inconspicuous, then headed to the camp. Once I was done taking them out, I had to blow up the trailers with sticky bombs. Since explosive devices are illegal in California, I started trying to find a different way to explode the trailers. First, I tried shooting a car next to a trailer, didn't work. Then I tried stacking multiple cars, also did nothing. I shot explosive tanks next to trailers, lit the trailers on fire. I even exploded myself using a jerry can, all of which did nothing. Having done everything I could think of, I resorted to blowing them up with sticky bombs. After that, Trevor met up with his long-lost friend Michael. They chased down Laszlo and got a video for the Spank Bank. Then Trevor did an honest day's work down at the docks and scouted the location for a future heist. While Trevor was planning the heist, Michael played dead to get into a morgue for Dave. All of my weapons were upstairs, so I tried to run past everyone, but these chairs had a different plan for me. What the fuck? On my next attempt, I avoided those chairs, punched a few guys in the face, and got my guns back. I took out all the agents and got revenge on the chairs for getting me killed. Michael jumped in my channel to escape, then went home to do some yoga. During yoga, I noticed Fabion's toes looked a little weird, almost like they weren't fully rendered in. Please don't ask me why I was looking at his toes in the first place. After yoga, Michael hung out with Jimmy. They did my favorite activity, driving under the influence. When Michael got home, he found out Amanda had left him for Fabian. Now that his wife wasn't bleeding him dry, he was able to afford some more guns. The FIB wanted us to rescue Mr. K, some guy the IAA had kidnapped. Michael breaks into the window and the game switches you to Franklin. You're forced to shoot 6 guys with a sniper. It would have been more, but Michael can kill a few. Since the sniper is chambered in 50 BMG, it's illegal. A guy spawns who you can't snipe, so you are forced to switch to Michael and take him out with an automatic pistol. Then I was faced with the final guy. It was obvious Franklin had a direct line of sight, but he wouldn't shoot him. I sat there, dangling for what felt like hours, wondering what my fate would be. Until I remembered you can switch back to Franklin and Michael will shoot the guy. After that, a helicopter starts attacking Franklin. You're supposed to shoot it down, but since he still had the 50 BMG, I decided to perform the very intricate strategy of ramming it full speed with my helicopter until it broke down. After we gave Mr. K to the FIB, Trevor tagged along with Franklin and Lamar for a drug deal. We ended up getting scammed, which somehow caused the whole hood to want to kill us. I mainly used Trevor's sniper, but I also popped a cap in some of them with my pistol. The cops heard we were killing minorities and got angry we didn't leave any for them. We were able to escape using the LS River. Then I went to grab a submarine for the Merryweather heist. When I was done getting the submarine, I met up with my buddy Mr. K again. He had information about a smoker whose addiction we were trying to stop. To get information out of Mr. K, I tested his patellar reflex. It was horrible. I did a couple more reflex tests, which for some reason caused him to flatline. When I revived him, he gave us enough info about the guy we were looking for. I shot the cigarette out of his hand and he fell over. When he stood back up, he immediately started looking for another cigarette, so I shot him in the chest, ending his addiction. I took Mr. K to the airport, picked up some guns for Franklin, got a cargo bob, and began the heist. I dropped the submarine in the ocean, picked up the device, and started flying back to land. Merryweather helicopters came after us, but Franklin was able to easily shoot them down. I got the submarine back to the airstrip, but Lester showed up and made us return the device. Before I had gone to the heist, Steve texted me saying we needed to meet up and to not be late, so I showed up over 2 days late. Surprisingly, he was still there and wasn't mad at me. The FIB wants us to rob this armored truck, so I got the boys matching outfits and grabbed the vehicles we needed. When I went to get the tow truck, the owner threw me out of my car and into the ocean. I got my revenge on him, then started the mission. First, we rammed the armored truck and blew open the back with a sticky bomb. I saw 2 guards crawl out of the back and debated on killing them, but I looked inside my cold, dark heart and decided to spare them. I used my shotgun on the majority of cops that showed up. To take out the snipers and helicopter, I had to switch to my vintage pistol. Once all the police were dealt with, I delivered the bonds to Devin and started getting vehicles for him. Rich kids had the first 2 cars, so Franklin baited them into a race. Michael and Trevor pulled them over while posing as cops. Trevor got too into character and almost committed police brutality against Franklin. Luckily, he was able to control himself and we got the cars back to Devin. After that, I said hello to my boy Chad Mulligan. He let me borrow his Z-Type, and I delivered it to Devin at the airport. Then Franklin needed to assassinate some guy for Lester. I ran him and his guards over. Once I was done with that, I helped Solomon. He was having a problem with some actors, so I went to their location. It was filled with workers who I couldn't get spotted by. Since I couldn't get a suppressor to take them out, I went around back, punched a dude in the face, then proceeded to beat Rocco harder than I beat my meat during goon sessions. I flew the helicopter dangerously to make the actors scared enough to act again, then dropped them back off to Solomon. Next, Michael and Trevor met up with Madrazo. He wanted them to shoot down his cousin's plane and make sure he didn't survive. Madrazo also wanted Michael to use his gun that was in the back of a van. The only problem with that is in California, you can't loan your gun to someone who isn't your family member, and the gun is chambered in 50 BMG. Unfortunately, this is the only way to shoot the plane down, so I need to add 4 more laws broken, 1 for using a gun that's not mine, and 3 for the 3 shots it took. The plane eventually crashes in a field. I don't know what Madrazo's cousin is made out of, but it seemed like he wouldn't die no matter how many times I hit him with my dirt bike. He also definitely sustained brain damage because he tried asking me for help while I was running him over.
You gotta help us!
Once he finally died, I destroyed the sniper van and met up with Trevor, where I discovered he kidnapped a MILF, aka Madrazo's wife. While Michael and Trevor are hiding from Madrazo, Franklin grabs another car for Devin. I was able to easily take out the security guards and get the car from the studio. While trying to lose the guards that chase you, I nearly had a seizure because this game is programmed by Somali children who can't figure out how to fix a sky flicker. And before you comment, it's my drivers or something, I have updated my drivers, updated my PC, verified game files, uninstalled, reinstalled, changed my settings in game, and still this goddamn flicker exists. I wish it would go away more than all the fucking Anyway, I ended up shooting the guards and delivered the car to Devin. Next, Trevor wanted to steal some guns from a Merryweather plane. I was still angry about the sky flickering, and I took it out on Ron. I made my way onto the plane and killed all the guys. Too bad I didn't take out their jeeps as well, because one ended up smushing me. Shortly after I got control of the plane, I was shot down by jets. I hopped out, parachuted to safety, and went to scout the Polito Bank. We triggered the alarm to see the police response time, then raced back to the meth lab. Michael took our friendly race way too serious. I got in a head-on collision with the truck, and he proceeded to run me over, then mock me when I arrived later than him.
What took you so long?
Once we looked over our plan for the heist, Franklin called to say he was following some O'Neills. Eventually, they crash, and you have to snipe some from a helicopter. I had to use a 50 BMG to snipe these guys, adding 2 more laws broken. Also, even if it wasn't a 50 BMG, the thermal scope we use is illegal too. Franklin takes the last one out on foot, and we all head back to the airfield as one big happy family. Unlike the O'Neills, who will never be a happy family again since we slaughtered them all. Before starting the Polito score, I wanted to stock up on some extra firepower. The new guns I could get were the Musket, Marksman Pistol, and Bullpup Shotgun. The pistol isn't on the allowed handgun list, but since it's a break action, it's exempt. I also picked up some tear gas, which I was surprised to learn you can own in California. While backing out of Trevor's driveway, I didn't see Patricia and ran her over. Twice. I'm sure Madrazo won't mind if she comes back with some broken bones. When I started the heist, I had a goal of killing at least 1 person with each of my newly acquired weapons. I started off with the tear gas, which was surprisingly very bad at its job. It didn't make a single person cry. They also weren't dying, which was my main goal. So instead of relying on the gas, I started pelting this guy with the canisters, and it seemed to work. The Marksman Pistol was a bit easier. I just shot down the helicopter with it. Then for the rest of the mission, I used the musket to take out people that were far away, and the Bullpup Shotgun to get anyone that was close. After getting off the train we used to escape, Trevor immediately hopped on a different train just to jump off of that one too. The man has more commitment issues than my ex, but at least Trevor didn't burn the gifts I bought for him, or tell me he wants to break my nose, or spit on me. Wait, I kind of like that one. Trevor actually had a reason for jumping off of the train, which was money. While Michael was grabbing the loot, I had to fight off incoming Merryweather. I honestly thought it was going to be more difficult, but I just used my Bullpup Shotgun for the guys on boats and my pistol for everyone else. Michael picked up Trevor. I took control of the boat, almost beached it. Trevor shot everyone following us, then I beached the boat for real. After seeing what Michael picked up in the wreckage, we went over to the humane labs with our FIB buddies. I clobbered a few scientists on my way to the nerve agent. Once I picked it up, we had to fight through some security as well as the army. We eventually made it to the refrigeration unit, and I carefully put the nerve agent in it. Trevor gave Madrazo his wife back. Thankfully, her bones must have healed pretty quick because Madrazo didn't mention anything about it. After that, Trevor and Michael had a talk. Sadly, it didn't go well and led to them racing to North Yankton to see who's really in Michael's grave. Trevor discovered it was Brad. Before he can shoot Michael, the triads show up. You are switched to Michael and have to fight your way out. I ran through the triads and was able to make it to my car, but it wouldn't start and I was kidnapped. Some of you may be wondering why I couldn't use the pistol since this mission takes place in North Dakota where they have more lax gun laws. To you people, I want to say, read the title again, Pookie. It doesn't matter if I'm in a different state in game. I still have to follow California gun laws. Also, there was no indication Michael got the pistol legally in North Dakota, so he'd be breaking their gun laws too. Once I was back in Los Santos, I had to deliver the cars we've been stealing to Devin. Lamar had gotten the last one. He was acting all nonchalant, leaning up against it. When I arrived, I completely ruined his vibe by crashing into him. Everything was going good until cops saw the stolen vehicles. I did the strategy I always use for this part, which is stopping in front of the semi and hopping out to kill the cops. And like always, the traffic seemed to be working with the police and constantly crashed into me. They did end up helping me out with one cop though, so I guess that makes up for the hundreds of times they've hit me in the past. After dropping off the cars to Molly, I was making my way back to Los Santos when I spotted a woman in distress. I couldn't stand seeing a queen like her upset, so I stopped, and since I'm such a gentleman, I offered her a ride. She wanted to be dropped off at a broadcast tower. When she said it was to see her boyfriend,
I'm going to see my man.
I immediately drove into oncoming traffic and got into a head-on collision. Unfortunately, she lived, so I had to finish her off as she was running away from me. She should have seen what a nice guy I was and offered to be my girlfriend. Once I was back in Los Santos, I met up with Trevor. He told me about the whole Michael being kidnapped situation. I went to the meatpacking plant and was able to take out most of the triads with my shotgun. When I reached Michael, Franklin tossed him a gun that was unfortunately not legal, so I was forced to hang upside down while waiting for Franklin to kill the triads. About 20 minutes later, he finally did it and I was switched back to him. I killed a few guys, then got tackled. Sadly, the game forces you to shoot this guy with the illegal pistol. If you're wondering why I'm not adding one more law broken for using a friend's gun like I did with Madrazo's sniper on Cata Libre, it's because you can use your friend's gun as long as you have permission and they are in the vicinity. I continued using my boomstick to clear out the triads. Then I dropped Michael off at home and stocked up on some new guns, which were the 50 caliber pistol and the Taser. I was a little surprised to learn you don't even need a permit to carry a Taser in California. After acquiring my new guns, I went over to the movie studio where I saw Rocco beating up my second favorite movie producer. I used my new hand cannon to light up Rocco and his buddy. Once Rocco was dead, I moved on to my favorite pastime, stalking a janitor so I could steal his clothes. With his clothes secured, I turned my attention to getting my family back. I won them over by doing basically everything they left me for in the first place. Then I got the architect's plans for the FIB heist and chose the rooftop entry, since in that setup, you only have to use one explosive, while in the other, you use a bunch. When I parachuted out of the helicopter, a crew member nearly killed me by flying into my parachute. Thankfully, I was able to land on the roof and blow the door open. I held off the guys with my vintage pistol while we were downloading the Epstein file. Once they were done, we fought our way out of the burning building. The only difficult part was shooting down the helicopter, mainly because my aim is dog shit. Helen Keller could probably aim better than me. When I finally managed to shoot it down, we made our way to the ambulance and escaped to Franklin's place. After the heist, I witnessed Molly get sucked into a jet engine because she stole the film Michael was producing. I secured the movie and met up with Dave. While he and I were enjoying this view, Steve showed up and ruined everything. He caused a massive shootout involving Noose and Merriweather. Michael was fighting his way through them when he got pinned down by a helicopter. The game switched me to Trevor, who thankfully had a legal sniper to shoot the pilot with. Instead of making the rest of this mission easy for myself, I decided to test my marksmanship with the Marksman Pistol, of course. Ha 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 ha! Please don't leave. The Marksman Pistol was actually pretty good. It would one-shot most of the guys wearing armor as long as I was close enough. Eventually, I was able to make it to the parking lot and escape. I switched over to Franklin, who found out from his ex that Lamar had been kidnapped. On my way to rescue him, Lester called Michael and Trevor to come help. When I got there, I showed how thankful I was for them coming by blindsiding Michael with my car. Fuck!
Oh, my back!
I used my sniper to take out a few before moving in and clearing out the rest with my pistol. When we were finished rescuing Lamar, Michael went to his movie premiere. At the red carpet, I got word that the girls were in trouble. I sped home, accidentally leaving Jimmy at the premiere. When I got inside, I was able to save Amanda and Tracy, then had to take out incoming Merriweather. It was pretty easy with the Bullpup Shotgun since it holds 14 rounds. If you're wondering why I can exceed the 10 round magazine limit with this gun, first, it's based on the KelTec KSG, which is legal in California. Second, it has 2 separate tubes that hold the shells, which I believe allows it to bypass the magazine limit law.
This does hold 14 rounds, but it has technically 2 separate magazine tubes, so because of which it is California legal.
I went upstairs to check on the girls, but slipped and passed out. When I awoke, Jimmy was teabagging me. He must have been pretty upset about being left behind at the premiere. After getting violated by my son, I went to the strip club to plan the big score. I got the stuff we needed for the heist and began it by ambushing armored trucks in a tunnel. Once we got the trucks, I drifted one in front of a security guard. He respected me for it and let me into the Union Depository. Trevor used his beautiful looks to get us access to the vault. We grabbed the gold, loaded it in the trucks, and got away from the bank without any problems. But then Merriweather found out we stole the gold. They ambushed us in the homeless camp behind the strip club. I decided to test my marksmanship by using the Marksman Pistol. You already made that joke. Shut up! I used the Marksman Pistol until we got overrun. Then I switched to something with a bit more capacity. After clearing out Merriweather, we got in a very cool and epic car chase with police. It made me feel badass for once in my life. We escaped by driving the cars in semis and went to Michael's place after to celebrate. When Franklin went home, Devin showed up. He gave me a few choices. One was to kill Michael, another was to kill Trevor, and the last was to kill Devin and some other people. I found it a little odd that Devin would give me an option to kill him, but I chose that one. I picked up Lamar. He whispered in my ear that everything was going to be okay. We met up at a foundry with Michael and Trevor. Some Noose and Merriweather came to attack us. After fighting them for a while, Lamar needed help outside. I decided to use the Taser, which was one of the only allowed weapons I hadn't used yet. It didn't go well the first time I tried to use it, or the second, or the third. So I switched to a weapon that didn't take 5 minutes to kill a single person. While I was outside, Trevor stopped responding. I switched to Michael, sniped a few guys, and made my way to Trevor. When I got to him, he was panicking. I gave him a forehead kiss and started telling him everything was going to be alright when we were interrupted by Noose. Eventually, we made our way outside, picked off the remaining enemies, and made a plan to assassinate everyone else we needed dead. First was Stretch, which I killed by running him over. Next was Steve. I killed him using my Marksman Pistol. Good thing I practiced my marksmanship with it. Third was Mr. Chang, and last but not least was Devin. I took out his Merriweather guards using my shotgun, threw him in the trunk, accidentally rolled the car down the side of a mountain, brought him to a cliff, and with the help of the boys, pushed him to his death. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. In total, I violated California gun law 36 times. If you're curious, I put in the description why every weapon was/wasn't allowed. Also, I have some good news. My girlfriend left me, so I should be getting out videos faster with the extra time I'll have. Oh god, I'm so alone. Anyway, let me know what you thought of the video in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe, and remember, have an buzzing day. Man, I want to kill myself.